Ever feel like there are these two sides to you, kind of like they're wrestling? One
Yeah.
part of you wants to like make a list, be organized, and the other part just wants to go with the flow.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Well, that's what we're digging into today. We're talking about this whole idea of masculine and feminine energies with author and tech guy Carlos Goga.
And we're not talking about the stereotypes here, you know?
Yeah.
It's more about how these energies are within all of us. Goga says they're super important, especially with like AI and everything.
Right. It's like this whole other layer to think about. We're looking at his blog and his new book. It's called Dancing Our Way to Human AI Consciousness.
Yeah.
Quite a mouthful.
It is, yeah.
And he starts off with this story, a conscious sexuality retreat he went to. Wild, right?
Totally. And it was a big deal for him, like a turning point. He realized that masculine and feminine energy, it's not about being a man or a woman. It's way deeper. Like, he describes them as forces, you know?
So it's less about what society says and more about, I don't know, how we just naturally are.
Exactly. It's like these energies are inside us all the time, and they're kind of running the show, affecting how we, like, solve problems, how we talk to each other, all that.
And that's where this whole energetic self hypothesis thing comes in.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty out there. He's saying we're not just, like, flesh and bones, we're energy, too. And that energy, it's always moving, always shifting between masculine and feminine.
So it's not like two people fighting inside us. It's more like a dance, back and
Like
forth.
dance, exactly. Like breathe in, you got to breathe in, you got to breathe out. Both got to happen. That's masculine and feminine energy. You got to have both.
Okay, I'm kind of seeing it, but how do we actually know what's what? This all feels a bit vague. How do I know if I'm being more like masculine energy or feminine energy right now?
So Guga has this mapping thing. Like look at yourself, your mind, your emotions, even your body, and you
Yeah.
can see these energies. For example, your mind, right? Are you a logic puzzle person? Breaking down problems step by step.
Oh, that's totally me. Love a good puzzle.
See, that sounds like some strong masculine energy in your thinking. But if you're all about brainstorming, going with your gut, the big picture stuff, that's more feminine energy.
So it's not about being better, it's just different, like different strengths.
Right. And it works with feelings too, like conflict. You jump right in, direct, hold your own. That could be that masculine energy coming out. Or you're more, let's understand each other first. That's feminine energy doing its thing.
Okay, this is making sense. Knowing which energy is stronger in different situations, that could be so helpful, especially with like relationships and stuff. But Goga, he takes this even further, right? He actually named these energies within himself.
He did. He calls his masculine energy Carlos, simple, right? And his feminine energy, he calls her Isabella.
So he's literally talking to a Carlos and an Isabella in his head.
Pretty much. And he says it's not just for fun, it actually helps him make decisions.
So how does that work? Like when he's actually making a decision, it's one thing to name them, but how do Carlos and Isabella actually like guide him?
Okay, so imagine this. There's a decision to make. Carlos, the masculine energy, might be all about, let's be logical here, pros and cons, gotta be efficient, gotta see results.
Right, like that part of me that's always saying, get stuff done, be productive.
Exactly. But then Isabella chimes in, right? Feminine energy. She's like, hold on, what about the feelings involved? What about the long game? How's this going to affect everyone?
It's like having a devil's advocate, but instead of good and bad, it's like logic versus gut feeling.
Yeah,
But they're both working together.
you got it. And Gorga, he's saying that because he listens to both of these sides, these voices, his decisions, they feel, I don't know, more him, more aligned, you know?
Yeah, totally. It's like finding that balance inside yourself. And speaking of balance, this whole Carlos and Isabella thing, it goes even deeper. He did a whole symbolic marriage thing with himself.
Right. Talk about commitment, but it shows how much he believes in this, that these energies aren't enemies. They're like two parts of a whole. They need each other.
Yeah. And this idea of inner harmony, of embracing both sides, that's huge GE in his work with AI, right? This is where that dancing our way to human AI consciousness really comes in.
Totally. He's saying that just like we need this balance inside us, we got to bring that same idea to how we deal with AI.
So it's not just about personal growth, it's about like the whole planet, how we develop AI, how we use it.
Exactly. And here's where loving presence comes in. Goga says that if we want AI to make us more human, not less human, we got to use both masculine and feminine energy.
Okay, hold up. Loving presence. We keep saying that, but what does that actually mean with AI? How do you put love into technology?
It's a good question. It's not about being like mushy or sentimental. It's more about approaching AI with a balance. You know, curiosity, sure, but also caution. Innovation, but also being ethical, being responsible.
So it's like On one hand, you've got that masculine energy, the drive to push boundaries, make AI that can solve big problems.
Exactly, that's part of it. But then you need that feminine energy to make sure we're not just running wild. We need ethics, empathy, compassion built right into the AI.
It's like, we can't be so scared of AI that we don't do anything.
Yeah.
But we can't just rush in blindly either, right?
She got it. It's all about finding that sweet spot, because AI, it's a reflection of us, of that dance between masculine and feminine that's already happening inside each of us.
Whoa, so we're basically holding up a mirror to humanity with this AI stuff. And what we see, that's on us. And that's where Goga's whole background is so wild. It's not every day you meet a tech guy who loves yoga and conscious sexuality retreats, you know?
Yeah.
It's like he's found this connection between things we usually see as totally separate, like logic and gut feeling, tech stuff and spirituality. They can all work together.
Totally. And it's interesting, right? The things Goga does, like that yoga, the mindfulness stuff, it's like that's all a part of how he sees AI. It's not just ones and zeros to him. He's bringing in this whole other awareness.
It makes you wonder, like, what if more tech people explored that side themselves? Would they make different choices about AI? Would they be more, I don't know, careful?
Right. And that goes back to Goga's main point. If we want to get this AI thing right, we got to start by figuring out that balance within ourselves first. That dance between masculine and feminine.
So it's not about saying one is better or anything. It's about using both, right?
Yeah.
In ourselves, in AI, everywhere.
Exactly. And that's what's so cool about Goga's work. He's not giving us all the answers or saying the future is going to be perfect. He's more like, hey, let's dance. Let's figure this out together. It's a process.
It's like he's saying we got to treat AI like a relationship almost. You got to work at it. You got to communicate. You got to be willing to, I don't know, change and grow along with it.
That's a great way to put it. And just like with relationships, there's going to be bumps in the road, times when one energy is stronger than the other. But if we keep coming back to that loving presence, that balance, we'll work through it. We'll be all right.
This whole conversation, it's really got me thinking about myself for sure, but also about how we're building this future with AI. It's not just about the tech itself. It's about us, who we are deep down, and how that's going to shape everything.
And that's why this stuff matters. It doesn't matter if you're a tech whiz or not. What Goga's saying, it applies to everyone. It's about growing as people, making good decisions, and navigating this crazy world we're living in.
So as we step into this new world with AI, the big question isn't just what can we build? It's what kind of future do we want to build? And maybe, just maybe, that starts with each of us having a little chat with the Carlos and Isabella inside our own heads.